And welcome back to the True Patriot podcast, folks. We have with us a very, very special guest. We've had some local anglers of the year, but none at this level here. I would like to welcome to the show Mr. Chad Davison, reigning 2022 Angler of the Year of the All American Kayak Series. Chad, brother, thank you for joining us here.
Hey, man, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
You know, it's we do our best to keep trying to grow this thing, and when we can get a hold of hammers like you out there, this last season, I mean, to say it was epic for you would be an understatement. I think there was some deals that, I mean, even you yourself had to be going, I don't know what it did, but it's working well, so keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like an imposter, because I mean, every tournament. It was like I never really saw it coming. Very few of them did I have any idea I would do as well as I did. And it was just like when I started the season, it was like 3 second places in a row, which, on the one hand, I'm like, why can't I win one of these? But at the same time, I'm like pretty happy with second place, and to get it three in a row, it was just unbelievable. And you just don't know. I don't know what I did, but I just wanted to keep trying to do it again. So,
well, I mean, I think you'd agree with me. It doesn't matter what vessel you're fishing out of. Our sport is a sport of momentum, man. And when you got it, just don't change your socks, don't change your food, just keep it going.
I didn't wash my kayak all year.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's in confidence, momentum and confidence. It everybody always says it, but I mean, I could just feel it. You just feel like something's going to happen. If you're having a rough day, you just you're able to stay in it, keep in the zone a little bit easier, just because you have that confidence that if you stick with it, something's going to happen. And it did a lot of times. It was amazing.
A fellow competitor and a good buddy of mine, Jordan Westerman, had a chance to chat with him. I stayed at an Airbnb with him and a few other guys at Lewis and Clark, and he said something. And Joshua Deal, actually, who is a pro who fishes on the Bassmaster side, he's a good friend. He's actually part of our Romans Warrior Network. They both basically alluded to this very same thing, and that is when you get in that zone where the next decision is the right one, and it's going to be the right one, no one can beat you like that. Because whether it is or isn't, you're still thinking it is, you know what I mean? And you can just keep adjusting until you find what you need. And it rang so true for me this year at the All American at Lewis and Clark, man. That was a tough fishery. And in that day two, we made a charge. We were about a quarter inch out of second place. And if I could have culled that last 15, we had a shot at winning that thing. It was that close. And it is, man, when you get in on it like that, adversity doesn't matter anymore, because you feel like, I got this. I'm all right. We're going to stay after this, and we'll get her done.
Yep. Yeah, that for sure. And I mean, for me, like, when it started to happen, I could almost feel it happening,
Nice.
I mean, every tournament was a little bit different. Kentucky Lake was the one, which I actually finished second to Jordan on that one.
Nice.
But I on day two, I mean, I think I was in the top 10, but I wasn't really in a strong position going into day two. And, I struggled. I didn't have a single fish. I didn't catch a single fish before noon. And I was totally struggling. And I just I just decided, I have a lot of confidence in those Berkeley Fritz-side square bills. And and I was just like, I didn't know what else to do. I was just really kind of no energy. I was just kind of starting to lose all my will to keep fishing. And I just decided I enjoy throwing that bait. I'm like, I'm just going to start throwing something that I have confidence in and that I enjoy throwing. And I mean, it wasn't like probably 10 minutes and I caught a 5-pounder. And then I just, the next 2.5 hours or so, it was on, and
that's awesome.
It just Yeah, and it was just like, and I could almost feel it. I could just like, it's starting to happen, they're turning on, and I really got in the zone. I really got my momentum back. And
That's awesome.
so, it can happen quick.
It does, man. And that's, yeah, when you start, like I said, we said at the beginning of this, when that momentum is landing on you, ride that, bad boy, drive it till the wheels fall off of it, for sure. So for those of us out there, I told you this prior to the recording. Normally, I do a ton of research on the people that I bring on, but I didn't with you on purpose because I wanted it just to be a genuine introduction. This is the first time you and I have ever spoken. I didn't get an opportunity to see you at Bull Shoals when I was down there. I didn't get a chance. I was on I actually chose the other end of the lake, which was not a smart move. By the end of the day, just not to go on a tangent here, but your buzzbait bite, that's all I was throwing that entire weekend. I was on the wrong damn side of the lake because everything I was finding was like that big. And you were it seemed to me that was the most consistent bite I found, was that buzz bait. And I would match it up with, pitching some jigs here and there, but that buzz, they wanted to come after it, but I just couldn't find the quality that you guys were finding on the other end of the, world over there.
Yeah.
I was clear down there, but yeah.
That was definitely in an area that had some big fish in it. And it was, I had a video that was probably one of the coolest videos I had all year of that buzzbait, that big buzzbait fish. It was 22 and a quarter.
Yep.
And it's kind of deceiving because everybody thought I caught all my fish on the buzzbait, but I did catch on the first day. I caught several on the buzzbait, but I missed quite a few on the buzzbait that they weren't eating it good. And then I caught some in practice. I actually found them in that area. I was pitching like a 10-inch worm.
Oh, nice.
And so that's kind of how I was catching them in practice. And then the morning of the tournament, it just felt right to me for a buzzbait.
Mm-hmm.
And that did account for several of my bigger bites. But then on day two, it got super cold, and overnight, and the morning bite, it was kind of like Kentucky Lake. I was having trouble even getting a bite, and I was really struggling. But in the afternoon, the bite turned on for me, and
nice.
I started throwing it. The wind was blowing a lot more, and so the buzzbait wasn't really as good because there's too much surface action. But I started throwing a spinnerbait, and I started whacking good ones again on the spinnerbait, and almost the same spot that I caught them on the buzzbait. So, but that's awesome. The buzzbait, it's a big fish bait, and if you can get them to eat it, you'll catch good ones on it. And there's a few baits that are always known to be big fish baits, and a jig is one of them, and the buzzbait is definitely one of them. And I caught the big bass for that big bass 250 tournament at Lake of the Ozarks that ended up, I think I won 12,500 overall, and caught it on the same buzz bait. So
that's awesome.
It's a huge bait for me this year. It's that Crockett Gator head knocker buzz bait, and it's got a unique sound, and it just draws big bites, and it's been kind of my go-to this year.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. Yeah, when you find them and it's working like that, I've had similar instances where certain I'll throw a swim bait just about any time of the year in the right circumstance with the right retrieve, and there's been times where I could not keep them off of the swim bait. It just every time throw it out and lean back into them. There they are every time. And yeah, when you find it, you can take it pretty much all over the country in just about any condition. If you have that, like we said before, that confidence. That's where it's at for sure.
So when you say a swim bait, are you talking about like the big glide baits? Or
no,
are you talking about like a 5-inch or a 4-inch, like a paddle tail?
Yep. Paddle, basically with, when anybody who knows me knows that, and I know that this will come back to bite me one day, but dude, the inner cheap in me just is not going to pull the trigger on no $100 and some odd lure. I get upset when I see these jerk baits going for $25 a piece because there's no damn reason for it. You know what I mean? It's like I see many other jerk baits, and yes, there's some slight differences, this and that, but it's not like you got gold laid in there that needs to jack that up. They do it because you and I will pay it, to
Right.
to get these. So yeah, no, I don't glide. I don't do that level of fishing. My swim baits are I don't have any one particular brand at this point, that I'm stuck on. Sometimes, I'll be honest with you. A lot of times what I do is when I go to these places I've never been, I find that local tackle store. I'll find like a local gas station that sells tackle, and I'll see what they're lining their shelves with. Because if a gas station's got some tackle on their shelves, chances are the only tackle they're going to put up there is the stuff that works and the stuff that people around there want.
Yeah.
And so I basically just try to key in on, and shoot, at Lewis and Clark. This is no joke. Over at, if I can remember the name of the town that is on the far east side over there, I stopped in this little like a Baumgart's, kind of like a hardware tackle type place. In the clearance bin was a couple packs of these net baits. Little tiny craws, which was finally what I had been looking for, because I didn't have anything with me that was the right profile that I wanted and the right color. And I found those in a clearance bin, dude. And that's what literally, that and my all-terrain finesse jig is all I smoked them on day 2, was just that stuff, and half the time with my soft plastics, that's where we get a lot of success with that. But yeah, I can't spend $150 on a bait that I know is, maybe it's my Midwest upbringing. Too many toothy critters out there, man. Take away one of those.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. That's just something that I just keep resisting. I have so many people around me that are like, man, we need to go swim bait fishing, or you need to try this big. I don't even know what they're all called. I mean, all these different big expensive swim baits and glide baits and stuff, and it just doesn't really appeal to me. I mean,
Me either.
I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm getting too old, or maybe, I honestly, I'm sure I'll be proven wrong, but I just don't. I feel like those are very situational for tournaments, and those situations are few and far between. That's what I feel. Somebody could prove me wrong, but for consistency in tournaments, I just don't feel like they're the way to go, and especially not for me, because I have so much confidence and experience with so many other baits that I don't know why I would try and change it up at this point. But
I think it'd be maybe fun, like if we were just to go out for fun fishing or whatever, and just take those things and sling them around for half a day and just see what came out of it. But
right.
I agree with you, man. I mean, when we're in the tournament and everything's on the line there, no, I'm going with what I know, what I trust. And that's going to be where I'm going to stick, and not look for that one bite every 4 hours.
Yeah. It's a whole different ball game, really.
Yeah, for sure. So what is it that Chad Davison does when he's not tearing up lakes out there and chasing green and brown fish? What do you do for a living, man?
Well, I'm a locksmith. I work for University of Missouri healthcare system. It's a big healthcare system here in Columbia, Missouri, where the University of Missouri is. We've got, it's like 5 hospitals, and then probably, I don't even know how many clinics. There's dozens, and I basically take care of the locks and keys and access control stuff for all of the hospitals and clinics, which is there's me and one other guy that run the key shop. And it's a lot. It keeps me busy for my real job, for sure.
I was going to say, and so doing that, and on top of that, then you're obviously you must have been there for a while to be able to get the freedom to be able to flow to a lot of these tournaments and so forth. Is that is the goal to get to the point where you're fishing full time and that's it, or are you just kind of taking it day by day?
Yeah, I've worked there for 16 years, and at this point, I'm kind of committed as far as thinking about retirement and stuff. I'm still on the original pension plan, so
nice.
that would be hard to leave. But And I have built up a significant, we get a lot of vacation so, that does help, pretty flexible, and I'm able to take off for the most part, I'm able to get off for tournaments and stuff. So,
That's awesome.
that's a huge factor. As far as like fishing professionally, I don't really see that ever happening.
Hey man, Jody Queen has blazed the path for us, man. He started this stuff at 50, and look at the guy where he's at now. He's like one of the elite ever that our sport's ever seen, in 7 years. The guy is Mr. Consistent,
Well, for sure. And it's certainly possible. I mean, I think it would require, Jody's obviously got that figured out. You got to be able to make money other ways besides tournament winnings. Because,
isn't that the truth?
I mean, I had probably, it could very well be the best year I'll ever have in my life. I mean, I won over $30,000 fishing kayak tournaments, and I've been working on my paperwork to start getting ready for taxes and adding up all my expenses. And I didn't make any money. I mean, I spent every bit of what I won. And, some of it was like I bought a second kayak and I bought new electronics for my kayak this year. It's all stuff I can write off, and it's kind of still stuff I have to show for it. But the reality is, I mean, I didn't keep any of the money. It's all spent. So,
people don't realize that, brother. They don't get it. When they hear what you do, because this is what I do for a living here, and make no mistake, I do not make money doing this. And that point that you just made there, people don't realize the amount of expense that's involved in this. It's why we push so heavy with the True Patriot to get support so that we can, be in a position to take these guys out, because it's expensive to take them out. From gas to equipment, to make sure that it doesn't cost them a single dime. We want to cover all this stuff. And yeah, man, it just starts adding up when you're traveling around. That's, and yeah, especially like you said, when you're getting electronics and gear like that, good night. That adds up in a hurry.
I mean, I'm in better shape than I was. I like you, I fished out of a bass boat for about 25 years.
Nice.
And, I had some successful years, nowhere ever even close to the amount of winnings that I had this year out of the kayak.
Sure.
And the expenses were so much more. I mean, it was, I honestly feel like I have so much extra money since I sold my bass boat, even fishing all these kayak tournaments. I mean, the boat payment, insurance, and the huge amount of repairs that I had, you could pretty much budget thousands of dollars in boat repairs every year. And just all of that, the gas was just ridiculous, and oil and all that stuff. So I'm so much happier, and I fish so much more relaxed out of the kayak, just not having to worry about all of those expenses.
Exactly.
But it's still not cheap. I mean, driving across the country to go fish a Bassmaster event, that's 1,100 miles each way, and hotel and entry fee and all that stuff, it still adds up really quick.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I'm very thankful that I did not ever have to fill up my 55-gallon tank that was on my 2020 Nitro that I had. We made the decision last January to withdraw our registrations to the MLF. We hung that up and went all in on the kayak side. And thankfully, the boat stayed in my garage until we sold it. I think I ended up finally selling it like August, September. I kept saying I was going to put it up, but I just never did. Never put it. I told a few people it's up for sale, but I just didn't advertise it. And I don't know if it was in the back of my head. It's like, man, am I sure I want to do this? But yeah, within 30 days it sold. And I'm very thankful that I never had to fill that gas tank up with these prices that were out there this year. Oh, goodness gracious. That was horrible.
And usually what I was doing was burning, a tank of gas to get to a spot and risk a lot of damage to my boat in the process. And the spot I was trying to get to was one that now I can just go put in there in the kayak. I can just drive there and put my kayak in that spot, and I don't have to go 40 miles way up, way on the other end of the lake, go way up a creek and dodging, trees and trying to stay in the channel. And, I did the last year I owned my bass boat, I hit a tree at Truman Lake.
I was just getting ready to say, you must be talking about Truman, because
Oh
goodness,
yeah,
that's a
it
landmine
cost
field.
me a number of prop shafts, and I hit I had a Ranger, a 21-foot Ranger, and I was going about 40, 45 miles an hour, and I got a little bit out of the channel trying to run up Tebow Creek, and it's treacherous, and I really had no business trying to do it. But hit this tree that was probably 18, 20 inches in diameter, and I mean, it sounded like a head-on collision in a car, and luckily, I mean, I didn't like lose control of the boat or anything, but it spider cracked the gel coat all the way down one side of the bottom of my hull, and the insurance paid for it, but it was over $10,000 in fiberglass repairs, and that I was like, that's it. I'd already had to replace the prop shaft twice because, even at a fast idle, you hit a stump or something, and it seems like it bends the prop shaft, and that's $1,200 or whatever.
Yep.
And you can only do so many insurance claims before it's going to catch up to you. So,
right.
Yeah, it was just like I just got tired of it. It was taking all the fun out of it, and I'm just trying to get up to these places that other people aren't getting to, and now, I those are the places you're easily able to get to in the kayak tournaments, and it's so cool. I've been fishing parts of these lakes that I've fished these lakes most of my life, and I'm fishing areas on these same lakes that I've never been to before.
That's awesome.
And out of the kayak, because now it's super easy to get there. But
I fished through the Ozarks there, and I fished Truman twice out of my bass boat, and I come home, and I really thought that Truman was going to be, my jam for sure, just because I had been told, that it's you can get on a good shallow bite there. And, for me, I live in the swamps, man. I'm a skinny water guy. That's where my roots are at. And after I left there with my boat, I come home and I told my wife, I don't ever want to go back there. That is so nerve wracking. I mean, I had to idle up this creek arm. I idled for probably 2.5 miles to make sure that the pathway that I was taking was going to be safe. And so then once I had to go back and drop some red marks on one path because I bumped something. So I'd literally back up and I'd go the other direction so I could get a good path, in there. And then I could come back at speed and run it back, this and that. But yeah, that was on tournament day. It's like, please just, no errand wave that takes me down an extra 6 inches and now I'm going to hit something, or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, it was, but now, after I told the wife that it was my least favorite, then I go and I fish the Open last year with the All American out of my Unlimited, and I come back going, okay, I actually love this place. I mean, this is all right. It's challenging. I love it, but yeah, I'm down for Truman now, man. It's no worries, like you said. I can go drop in anywhere.
When the water level gets just right there at Truman, you'll hang up your bass boat on every tree. It's like you float over it just enough, and then your hull will hang on it. And then you gotta try and spin off of it, and sometimes you have to use the big motor to try and get off of it. And it seems like there's a certain water level it gets at where those trees are all at just the right depth, and you'll just hang up on every one of them. And I used to get so frustrated with that, but it's a really cool lake. I fish it. It's so much more relaxing to fish it now because and you can get in between trees and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like before, you're trying to navigate a path where you'll fit through the trees. Now with the kayak, it's really easy to get around. So
agreed.
So many advantages.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And that is absolutely one of the things we love so much. And that's what we were talking about before when we see these schedules. One of the things that I appreciate about the All American, and chime in here and agree or disagree with me. But one of the things that I love so much about the All American Kayak Series is that it's a professional series with literally some of the most dangerous and best hooks in the entire nation that are fishing this thing. And yeah, we are centered in the Midwest for sure. But when you look at it, we're going to bodies of water that kayaks can get on, man, that can exploit really good fisheries. We're not going and hitting the same old stuff like other series might go do.
Yep.
And it's one of the things that draws me, to it. Like we were talking, I have my choice, man. This is what I do for a living. I have a choice of where I want to drive. And listen, 12 hours or 15 hours. I'm foggy and worn out at the end of 10 anyway. So it doesn't really matter. The older I get, the less hours I want to put on the road, but we do it obviously because it's part of the gig. But so, hitting these in Missouri for me, hitting that or Iowa or Arkansas, Texas, these are all, 12-hour runs for me. And so we looked at that, and that was one of our deciding factors, is that the All American Kayak Series takes us to bodies of water that aren't the same old, and they're bodies of water where kayaks shine on them, man. And when you put some creativity to it, you look at it. I mean, when we're pulling 90 plus a day to get in the top 5, that tells you something about the guys you're fishing against and about the fishery that we're on, man. That's good stuff.
Well, I mean, I think obviously, first of all, I'm super grateful. I mean, I'm lucky. I fish MOYAK here in Missouri, and Joshua Booth runs that, and then him and Tyler Cole started the All American Series a couple of years ago, and so, I mean, he's a great tournament director.
Agreed.
And I feel super fortunate to be able to fish MOYAK and have such a strong club right here in my backyard. And then for them to start another series to allow us to expand outside, all over the Midwest. And I mean, I would say as much of a national trail as any of them are. The only thing that they're lacking at this point, because they're so new, it just takes a while to get your numbers up. And sure. They're going to get there, and they're building it. It's happening. I think this coming year, 23, is going to be the best year yet. But that's really the only thing they're lacking. And I think it's probably one of those deals that when it starts to happen, it's going to kind of happen exponentially.
Yep.
And last year, I know it was a little bit of a disappointment. I don't know exactly, if it was gas prices or if it was, they were doing Saturday and Sunday events, and, they went from a 1-day event to 2-day events, which I personally like the 2-day events. But this in 23, they're doing Friday, Saturday events, which it suits me better personally. I know it may be hard for some people if, that's may mean a little bit more vacation used to get off work, or they may not be able to get off work. But I think for a lot of people like myself, having that Sunday to be able to get home from some of these long drives will be really helpful. Several times last year, I, fished for 4 or 5 days, and then after the tournament was over, I drove 8 or 10 hours home and got home in the middle of the night, and then got up and went to work the next day. Yeah. And that was super brutal. And so I mean, I think that'll work out good for a lot of people. Nothing's going to fit everybody, but they keep tweaking it. And I think they keep making it better. So, well, and they've got a cool schedule this year. So,
and it's based on angler feedback, right? I mean, that's the thing. Joshua and Tyler are constantly pinging us up in the Facebook group and trying to get, a feel for what the anglers are looking at. So it's angler, driven, and their decisions are clearly done with us in mind. And that's something I truly, truly do appreciate, is that, yes, it's a business to run, but business isn't taking top priority. Right. The anglers competing is what their top priority is, which what you build with that, in my personal opinion, is loyalty. And that's where we find ourselves. Like I said, I wanted Bass to really put out a good schedule and really jump into it for sure. And unfortunately I was not as impressed when everything dropped at the end of it. I was like, well, okay, well, that makes it easy for us to, decide where we're going to fish and how we're going to fish. Right. But it's time and time again, we find ourselves at the All American I can tell you, we were in Team New Canoe. We were talking about our tournament teams. Derek Brunson's a big one with New Canoe, and that guy's a total stick out on the East Coast there. And one of the things we were talking about was about, the different sponsorships and how our teams look. And they mentioned the top three. They said, pro series. And I quickly said, you might want to also go ahead and add in the mix the All American Kayak Series that I typed in there. It's like, because like you said, it's just people haven't heard of it yet. But when they look at it, you tell me the diversity and where we go. I've got pins all over the US of where these lakes are at on our schedule, and we're all over the place, comparatively speaking, to the other series. The other series are looking for, participation numbers. That's kind of where they base a lot of their lakes on. But we are all over the place. So you have a chance to bring in a lot of locals from different venues like that. So yeah. And that MOYAK series, man. So in MOYAK country there, you guys, I am so jealous of you Missouri anglers down there, because one of the things I love about Ozark land is people like anglers.
Well,
it's part of life down there.
Springfield, Missouri is basically the bass fishing capital of the United States. So
yes.
we're right in the middle of it here.
Heck yeah. And where are you at? Are you in
I live in Columbia, Missouri.
Oh, okay.
So I am dead center between Kansas City and St. Louis. For me, the tournaments are a little bit further than for a lot of the guys, because most of our lakes are in the southern half of the state, and I'm right on the northern edge of that. Yep. Lake of the Ozarks is the closest for me, and it's about an hour and 20 minutes. But Table Rock Lake is 3.5 hours or so. Bull Shoals is like 4 hours, and so it's still not too bad. I really have no room to complain. But we're so fortunate here. Bass fishing is huge, and we got so many lakes to choose from. There's a lot of boat tournaments here too. But bass fishing is huge for sure.
I keep trying to convince my wife to get a condo. So Missouri would be a great place, to stay for, 3-4 months out of the year. And then we can come back home here, once all the snow's gone and everything. Because I figure, that's nice and central. You can fish, dang near 11 or 12 months out of the year, out there. So yeah,
there's always somewhere to go. So, occasionally the lakes will freeze over, but there's places you can fish. There's a lot of great rivers here in Missouri too.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's overlooked sometimes. But we have they're like smallmouth streams and rivers, the Gasconade River and the Piney, and there's so many. I could list a bunch, but awesome. Those we fish those all winter long, and really great fishing in the winter. Awesome. And it's a great time to be out there because it's super peaceful, very scenic, and you just see very few people. So it's a great time to be out. So there's a lot of options even in the wintertime.
Good stuff. So, and speaking of Missouri, a staple in Missouri has got to be Everhart's Outdoors. I literally, when I had a chance to fish the open, I took a picture of my big head right next to the Everhart sign, because I finally had a chance to make it there and stop in. I met Jared Foswell there, and I got a chance to chat with him and talk a little bit there during that. How did you get involved with Everhart's? Because you're part of Team Everhart's, right? On the old town side?
Yeah, they don't have a real huge pro staff. We do have half a dozen or so that represent Everhart's, and I just that kind of fell in my lap. I was really lucky. I was making the transition from the bass boat into the kayak world, and there was actually Jeremy Mitchell, if you know who that is.
Heard the name.
Yep. He does a similar thing that you do, getting veterans out in kayaks. He works with the Fallen Outdoors a lot.
Nice.
And he takes them out on those smallmouth the Ozark smallmouth streams and rivers that I was talking about.
Sweet.
He invited me to go on the Gasconade River. It was, I think it was probably December-ish when I had just started kayak fishing. Never been on a river in a kayak or fished a river like that. He took me out and, you know, we kind of hit it off. And at the time, he was on the Everhart's pro staff, and he kind of got me hooked up. You know, we fished several times together and got to know each other. Got me an invite to be on the team, and that just kind of took off from there. Yeah, I mean, and you know, now I've been fortunate to on the Old Town pro staff as well, and so that fits really well with Everhart's. They're an Old Town and New Canoe, dealer, yeah. And you know, they're one of the top kayak dealers in the state for sure. And they sell. I mean, they get them in by the tractor trailer load full.
Yep.
And it's a great place to go buy a kayak, and they got a good showroom back there where you can see them all. And it's been a great deal for me because not only do they have kayaks, but they have a huge fishing section,
yes,
hunting, and so it's a great deal for me as a pro staff to be able to take advantage of all the wide variety of stuff that they carry.
Dude, it's a destination for sure. If you're you know, going to Lake Truman Lake of any kind, you got to go to Everhart's. I mean, just stop in. The people there were ridiculously friendly to me. They didn't know me from Adam. I walk in there and, you know, was greeted and constantly people, you know, there to help you if you wanted. You know, I was just poking around looking at different things, and then of course I saw the new canoes back there. I'm like, hey, ended up actually trying to help you guys sell one there because a guy was asking, you know, I'm not sure if that'd be stable, and I'm like, oh, trust me. Yeah. And so I gave him a quick rundown on a couple of things on the new canoe, and yeah, that was it was super cool seeing that place. And like I said, just how the wide selection, friendly staff, you got to stop it, man. It's if you like fishing, you like hunting, you have to go to Everhart's at least once.
Yep, I usually have to allow at least several hours. The last time I went there recently, and I literally it's a couple hour drive for me, and so
right.
When I decided to go, I mean, I took the day off of work, drove there. I was there like 4 hours, you know, hanging out, talking to everybody there, and looking at, you know, I'm really fortunate. I've got some really great sponsors, and a lot of them are all together there at Everhart's.
That's awesome.
You know, Old Town and Crocagator Bait Company. They've got a full line of Crocagator there at Everhart's, and then with Gorilla Grip gloves, they sell those. I'm with Cash and Rods. They have a great selection of Cash and Rods.
Nice.
And so it's a great synergy, and I'm able to go there and kind of kill a lot of birds with one stone, really. So
that's awesome.
Everything I need is there.
Now, dungarees, you have those guys listed up here. How did that come about? Because that's now, or is this a clothing company? Is that what that dungarees is?
Yeah, it's kind of a cool story. It's kind of it's what dungarees is. They're actually a brick and mortar clothing retailer based here in Columbia, Missouri. They also have a location in St. Charles, and they're a huge Carhartt retailer. They have a lot of other outdoor brands like Dry Shot and Timberland Pro, and just a huge list of that type of clothing for like working people, outdoors people.
Yeah.
And but they sell. I'd say the vast majority of their sales are online.
Nice.
At dungarees.com. You can go, and they got free shipping over $55, and they got a huge selection, a great website. Customer service is really good. So, you know, I was really fortunate. They were one of my first sponsors, my first true sponsors. And basically it was a deal where I had been a customer of theirs for a long time. And I was trying to think outside the box, non-endemic sponsors that aren't already like obviously involved in fishing.
Yep.
And I thought of them, and you know, they're a family-owned business. I basically wrote up a proposal with my kind of like my fishing resume, what I felt like I could do for them, what I was looking for, why I liked them, and I basically emailed it to the owner. And it was one of those deals where you're like, you're not really expecting anything to come of it, but
Yeah.
you give it a try. And he was really receptive to it. And now I've been with them going into my 4th year, and they're really excited about what I'm doing. And
Heck yeah.
it's been a great partnership. I found a lot of their products are really great for kayak fishing. I've been wearing the same Carhartt rain suit for going into my 4th year now,
Good
and
stuff.
it's been great. I use the dry shod hunting boots in the kayak for colder weather, and they just got I'm pretty much people that know me. I'm always in Carhartt. Like I'm not the most like super fashionable guy. I just wear what is comfortable and what's functional for me, and
Yep.
it's pretty much Carhartt everything for me. So
That's awesome.
it's been a great deal. But
That's super cool. Yeah, and you're right, man. When you I've been doing this a lot of years, and when you send off 100 proposals, you're going to get 99 of them. You'll never hear a single thing, and then the last one usually comes back with thanks anyway. And I think maybe like what we were talking about earlier, it helps being in your neck of the woods there, where angling and fishing and the business side of fishing is a little more well known. They see the benefits of it. They know that the demographics of the market share that we target is very dedicated. And once they lock in, man, they are loyal to a fault, to brands. And so, yeah, it's cool to see that that comes through like that. We on the same note locked up, we're going to be making a bigger announcement, but a non-endemic that you mentioned, that is such a key factor for our sport as a whole, and especially for anglers to get a shot to do things, forward, is that non-endemic piece, not tied to our industry. Cause there's only so many companies tied to our industry, and there's only so much
yeah,
money. And neither you nor I have a name that even rhymes or sounds like Van Dam or Iconelli. So, it's like, there's that money's kind of, bought up by a lot of the big stuff out there. So when we can step outside the box, man, that's a cool deal. That's awesome to see that. Gorilla Grip, that's kind of non-endemic, but at the same time, not really. I mean, I see those gloves. Those things are fantastic fishing gloves, man. that's
yeah. I
that's
mean,
good stuff.
I don't go fishing without those gloves on, and those blue fingerless ones that you're talking about. I mean, cold weather, they have their cold weather gloves, which I wear those when it gets super cold. But the rest of the time, those blue fingerless ones are for the price. I mean, they had a deal where they were in a large number of the Walmart stores, and they had a display, and they were selling them 3 pairs for $10. So I mean, we're
Good
not
Lord.
talking about a lot of money here. And I had one pair the first year I started wearing them, which is before I was actually sponsored by them. Like I wore the same pair all year. I just kept washing them, and they started to get faded out and stuff. But I mean, you can wash them over and over and over again. So it's
Wow.
not like you just wear them one time. And they got there's a ton of advantages for kayakers. It's in the name that they give you a good grip, which is important when you're trying to cast
Huge.
and your hands are wet or whatever, or if you're trying to hold a fish on the board and you're trying for it not to slide off, squirt out, and go over the side of the boat. Or if you're trying not to get spined, which one of my buddies in MOYAK had a deal where he got spined and it got infected, and
Ah,
it was like really bad. They had to split his hand open and basically try and heal it from the inside out, and it was
good
a bad
night.
deal. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, they'll protect you from all kinds of things, and I wear them all the time. I wore gloves even before. I wore some sun gloves before that. They also protect your hands from the sun, which is important too. And
Yep.
so, I mean, they got a lot of ways that they help you. And I don't even I feel naked when I don't have them on. When I
Right.
have them on, I don't even think about it. They're just super comfortable. So, um, I can't really think of a good reason not to wear them. So those have been great.
For those of us out here in Colorado, our sun tries to kill you every day. It is it's so intense out here. It's the thin atmosphere because of our elevation. 10 minutes out here is basically the equivalent to like 30 back there at sea level. It's literally that potent out here. So yeah, there's no joke, man. I'm covering up as much skin as possible when I'm out there with sun gloves or whatever. But I got to admit, man, that the Gorilla Glove concept, just that having that extra grip piece, like with a paddle or your net, fishing pole for that matter. I mean, just anything on there. So I'm probably going to end up getting me a pair this year just to test them out and see how it goes there and see what we can do with that, because I like that idea quite a bit. Some of the others here, we have crank wraps. That's one of those. That's that roll up deal, right? Did you get all your crankbaits and everything in?
Well, no, actually, and I'm prepared here.
Hey, look at this.
Yeah, this isn't my first rodeo here. So this is how they come. It's a sheet, and they're basically like they're self-adhesive. This one is for the Spro mixed stick jerkbait, and so you peel them off and you stick them on your hard bait. They have them custom templated for a huge number of different baits, everything from glide baits to you can put them on spinner bait blades or square bills and jerk baits. I actually have, this is one of my favorite colors. This is called Fishback Attack. This is actually just a Megabass Vision 110 jerk bait.
Yep.
And then I've applied one of those crank wraps to it to give it that color. It's a pretty unique color. This is actually the actual Fritz side that I was going to say that's the good one at Kentucky Lake. I caught several on it.
Good stuff.
And they just got, this is a white crappie square bill, and
those are with the wraps on them.
Yep, these have the wraps applied. This is another one of my favorites. This is another square bill. It's got the bluegill wrap on it.
Good stuff.
They're super realistic. It takes like just a few minutes if you're careful. When you get good at it, it doesn't even take that long. You peel them off, stick them on. If you have a bait that they don't have the actual template for it, you can usually take one that's close and you can use a little marker and outline it and then cut them with scissors, and it's almost like an art project. And you can make them fit any bait. Stick them on there. Sometimes if you get a little wrinkle, you can put a little heat on it with a lighter or something and then smooth it out. They're very good to work with.
That's super cool.
They're really sticky. They don't come off easy. You can get them off your baits if you decide you want to change it, but you really have to peel it off. They're like, I think they're less than $10 for a sheet of them, and I don't remember the exact price. I think it varies a little bit depending on which one you get, but it's relatively inexpensive, and you're basically getting like a custom paint job that's not gonna chip or anything like that, and you can just do it yourself, and you can make bait changes in the boat right there on the fly. So it's a pretty neat deal.
I see like projects happening at the hotel, at the end of a day or whatever. It's like, okay, I know that they're coming after this one. This is what we've been seeing all the action on. Or like you said, right there in the kayak, if you run out, you could take the 5-10 minutes and knock it out real quick and get it set up. That's awesome stuff. I thought it was a total different product than that. That's super cool.
They've got some the old school Wigglework colors. So some of those hard to find colors, they got them, and you just you can put them on the wart that you already have, or if you're a lot of times what's happened to me before is in the springtime, everybody buys up every red crankbait in the tackle shop, and you can't you want a red crankbait and you can't find one anywhere. Well, then if you just got a bunch of red crank wraps, you got all the red crankbaits you need. So
that's too cool. Love it. H2 bait design. That's another one listed. What do these guys do?
Yeah, so that's a new one for me. Just came on board this year, and
Very
really
cool.
excited about it. They're located here in Missouri, and they do custom bait design, soft plastic baits.
Oh, okay.
They're set up with full CAD and the CNC equipment to do the high quality production molds for soft plastic baits, and now they are actually working with Crocagator Bait Company and making baits for Crocagator Bait Company, and that's how I actually got tied in with them. It's kind of like a joint deal. I'm going to be working with H2 on some bait designs and testing to create baits for Crocagator Bait Company. So I'm really
Very
excited
cool.
about it. It's a neat opportunity. I don't have a lot of experience in bait design. I have poured some of my own soft plastics in the past,
Sure.
so it's something I'm excited to get more involved with. And I actually am
Yeah.
in the middle of working on bait design right now. No idea if it'll ultimately end up as a Crocagator bait, but it's pretty. It's coming along pretty good. I'm excited to see how it turns out. So.
Awesome, man. Well, keep us in the loop on that, because as that gets closer, or when you get a chance to be able to talk about it, you let us know. We'll do our part to get you on here and let you highlight it and all that good stuff. And we'll do
Yeah,
a special episode just for that.
this is actually you've probably heard about it, but this is a bait that H2 was involved with
Oh, okay.
that is now a Crocagator bait. This is called the Shorty.
The shorty,
Um,
yeah.
it's it's a little it's you can use it for a lot of things. It's a great
I was going to say,
Ned type bait
does that
or
tail
shaky
float?
head.
Does that tail
Yeah,
float?
so there's actually a video on I put it on my Facebook and my Instagram, not just probably a few weeks ago. This bait in a tank. I actually set up my own little tank in the garage to test baits, and in this tail, when it's sitting still on the bottom, this tail just kind of floats around, and I mean, like just very. I mean, it seems to me this is like exactly what you want in a bait for the wintertime, especially because the bait is sitting still, but you got that slow, subtle movement, and right there in their face. And I mean, on the Crocagator, the football shaky head, or on a drop shot, or actually it looks really good on the Zapper jig, just a regular like a 3/8 ounce finesse jig with that. Oh, you found the video? Yeah,
Yeah, give me one
cool.
sec here. I'll see if I can. I need to just change up a couple things here real quick. Here we go.
Yeah, you can see that tail, man. It's just like
Yeah.
literally, I'm not moving it or anything. It's just sitting there wiggling, And I'm like, when
And
I
it,
saw that, I mean, I was like, wow, that is amazing.
now, is that on a swing head or is that just a rock head? What kind of jig head
Well,
is that on?
yeah, so that is actually this is the
Yeah,
this
I'll
is the
get.
bait. I'm back on the little screen, but yeah, that's on the Crocagator football shaky head, the 3/16.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just Texas rigged on that shaky head, and I mean, you could put it on a swing head. It's great on a finesse jig.
Good
We're
stuff.
we're still figuring out all the ways. I actually think it'll be really good, like on a chatterbait or something like that too. So.
Heck yeah. Man, you're getting me all kinds of cool stuff I got to check out now. See, that's the problem with doing these is now it's like, okay, yep. That looks like something I should be playing around with. I should be testing that out. Out here in Colorado, one thing that I learned, and this was so telling, I'll tell this quick story. I get to Pickwick Lake Bassmaster event, right? I get there and I'm staying with Real Deal himself, Joshua Deal, and Dan Krispinski, Captain Crispy, staying with these two guys. And these two guys are just flat out hooks, man. And they're from the Georgia area down there. They know what they're doing. And I'm parked under the carport because I was actually going to be sleeping just kind of in the back of my truck type thing at this little Airbnb. It just made it easier for them me sleeping on the couch. And I'm sitting there rigging up my stuff at my trailer, right on my deal, and I got the music on, and I'm going through, and Josh comes around, and if you know Josh, the dude is a mountain of a human being. He's like 6'7", 300 pounds. He's a big boy.
I met him at Lake
Oh.
Russell at the Bassmaster National Championship this
Nice.
last spring. So yeah, you're right. He's a pretty good sized dude.
He's a big boy. Well, he comes over and he's looking over my shoulder, and he's like, seriously, is this normally the size of baits you throw? And I look at him and I'm like, it isn't always about the size, Josh. He starts laughing. He goes, no, seriously, I'm throwing baits that could eat the size of baits you're throwing. I'm like, listen, I haven't rigged anything outside of Colorado. What I had to learn when I got to Colorado is I had to downsize everything out here. The bass is not, the number one species for us out here. And it is a finesse bite. We have tons of pressure on what little water we have out here. So when we go bass fishing, it's I'll throw a finesse jig right in the middle of anything if it's weighted enough. You know what I mean? It's like if I can punch through, I try to get away with the lightest weight I can. But and it is fun cranking up a 2 ounce every now and then, punching some serious mats. But yeah, so that was one of the big things we noticed coming out here and changing up with our Colorado fishing is learning that finesse game. And anybody who knows me knows that is the weakest part of my game is finesse. That is just not my game. I am two-fisted approach. Give me power fishing all day long. That's where I'm going to have the most fun. But so it is cool when I see things like the shorty there. Still, I've got the video going over here, and I see things like that. I'm like, just like you said, it's like I could see that as a trailer, thinning down my profile on a swim jig or a chatterbait. It's got Ned Rig written on it. It's got drop shot written all over it. And there's so many things you could do with that thing.
Oh, Marty Hughes, he was salivating for the Nico, put it on a Nico.
A Nico.
He had it Nico'd up before most people were even able to order them. But
that's awesome. That is too cool. Good stuff. And that's through Crocagator as well, Crocagator Bait Company. So listen, I'm not sure if I missed any. Let me go back to your site here to make sure where I'm at. We wanted to make sure to touch on those guys, Old Town Cash and Everhart's Crocagator, Crank Wraps, Dungarees, Gorilla Grip, and H2 Bait Design. Anything new on deck for sponsorship for 2023? Working on anything out there?
Yeah, I mean, the new ones for me were H2, we already talked about. And then I was lucky I was accepted to be on the Old Town Pro staff, so that's new. And then Cash and Rods is also new. Those are all happened this fall. And
that's awesome.
I'm pretty well got almost completely converted over to Cash and Rods now. And I mean, I knew they were good rods. I've used some of them, but I've got a bunch of them now, and I am so impressed with those rods, and it's even better that they're all completely made in the USA. That was a huge selling point for me. It's a family-owned company. Yep. The founder, Dr. Matthew Cashin, is he's got a PhD and basically. I believe his emphasis is in like the molecular. He developed his
molecular biology, I think.
Yeah, his own pre-pregnated carbon fiber that's like basically a sheet, and they build their rods from scratch. Right there in North Carolina. They're not shipping their rod blanks in from China or wherever. They're building them from scratch, and with their proprietary, their own adhesives and unidirectional carbon fiber, and they're all really high quality rods. They're very affordable rods. They now have a line called the Element Series that is they're retailing for like $129.95. Really nice rods for that amount of money. And then you can go all the way up to the John Cruz Signature Series that run about $245. And they're high quality components. They're made by Americans right there in North Carolina. Yep. I mean, everything about the company is something that I'm proud to represent. So that's been really cool for me, and I've been impressed with the rods so far. They're really great.
Well, and they're one of the few manufacturers that actually has paid attention to the kayak industry very closely and started building specific, sets for kayak anglers. And that's a huge deal too. I love when I see companies doing that. That's, there's respect at that point.
Yeah, you're exactly right. They've got their own line of kayak rods called the CK series.
Yep.
They've got Corey Dreyer and Jody Queen were very, very involved in the design of those rods. And, they take the kayaking world very seriously. And those rods are, they have features that are designed specifically for kayak anglers.
Well, and it's a real deal, man. I'll tell you what, the first quarter of my season was learning, the necessities of certain types of rods, and all of a sudden how important, action was with certain types, and from hook sets to casting accuracy to distance, these things. I've always said this, and I'll continue to maintain this point, is that you can fish from a bass boat and get away with some bad habits. But the moment you step into a kayak, it exposes gear and angler deficiencies rapidly. I mean, you cannot get away with, with gear that isn't, can you fish with just about anything? Sure. But to do what you and I do, to fish against the guys you and I fish against, no, man, you can't, if you want to compete, you can either complain about what you see or get beat by it. You know what I mean? It's literally that choice. And so, when it comes to, cause that missed fish that makes for a bad story for everybody else is like the difference between, a check and no check for you and I. And that's where that gear, you got to have that confidence in your gear, to make sure it's there. So that's, there's a big deal when you got manufacturers that are building specifically for our sport.
There's no more of those hook sets where you set the hook and then run towards the back of the boat to try and keep tension on the line. I mean, it's
tell me you haven't walked into a hook set on a Carolina rig before. I mean, how many times do you start at the bow and you end up down by the, the inside the captain's seat down there, reeling back on a Carolina rig? Not happening in a kayak.
Carolina rig has been a struggle for me to figure out how to fish that in the kayak. It's really hard to cast that in the kayak. Which
Same.
I'm a big Carolina rig guy, but that's been a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I too was, the longest rods I carry now are for my deep crank, and actually I do have that I discovered it last year. It's from 13 Fishing that I'm messing around with, one of the Muse line. It's a 7.6 rod, and that's about the longest rod I'm carrying now on deck. I used to have from Arc Rods, they had something called the Okeechobee Special, and that thing was like 7.11. That thing was just, freaking cane pole out there. And man, was that fun to fish, pitch with, and just horse them out of the deep cabbage with that stuff. But that was Minnesota days when I was fishing from a 21-foot, 96-inch wide deck. Not so the case inside. My Limited's wide, but she's not that wide.
I actually do use I've got the Cash and Core A-Rig rod. It's 7.11.
Wow.
And, I use that. I have used it in my kayak just recently, and I mean, cool. It works fine, but it's a lot of rod.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that you could hang a flag on that thing as you're rolling down.
You got to watch out for tree limbs.
Yeah, exactly. So to end this up here, man, just kind of bring this to a hold here. So you're fishing the All American Kayak Series this year, and you're fishing MOYAK. I'm guessing those two. Any other series that you're going to be dipping your toes in?
Yeah, well, so for me, kind of a situation where I'm going to start fishing several different series and kind of see how the season unrolls. And, like last year, it was my intention on the All American that if I started to do well, then you have a lot more incentive to fish more of the events to try and, finish well in the Angler of the Year standings and stuff like that. I'm taking that same approach with the Bassmaster Kayak Series this year. I'm going to start off fishing it. I'm planning on going to Guntersville. I am I qualified to fish the national championship down on Chickamauga, which is just a couple weeks later after Gunnersville.
Sweet.
And so I'm definitely fishing those two. The problem is with MOYAK, which I'm going to be fishing most of the MOYAK events, and then I want to try and fish the All American Series as well, but there's just conflicts, and
Sure.
then there's like you can't travel back to back weekends across the country and still like have a job and and try to make your mortgage payment and stuff like that too.
No
And
kidding.
so it's like you have to make some choices, and my goals are to just basically start off trying to fish as much as I can and kind of see how it unfolds.
Yep.
I am hoping to be able to fish at least 5 or 6 of the All American events.
Very cool.
And then, MOYAK, there's some conflicts there too, but I'm going to do my best to try and make another run at Angler of the Year in that club. I was lucky to win that last year, or this year, I guess.
Wait. Did you win Angler of the Year in MOYAK and the All American?
Yeah, crazy.
Good
enough,
Lord. How did I not know that?
I won both of them in the same. Basically, they were announced about a week apart, so it was crazy. My social media just kind of blew up for a little while there, but yeah, MOYAK I think arguably is harder to win than the All American Series, because we averaged over 80 boats a tournament, and so
it's
that
locals.
was a huge accomplishment.
It's local sticks on local ponds there. That's less regional and more local. I mean, if you count Missouri as regional, I mean, then yeah, it's still regional, but it's people that live down there that are going to enter that stuff, that know those bodies of water, that have been fishing it for 25, 30 years. That is, there's no joke about that, trying to deal with that compared to, look at James Watson. How many years did that guy, he'd won at the highest levels, and he had never won a BFL event, because like he said, he goes, no, these are harder to win than the big things are half the time, because you are going against, that field of folks that, no, yes, your level of skilled angler is probably higher at the higher levels, but at the same time, sometimes that knowledge, trumps that, and that's our sport, man. It is what it is. So that's real.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I don't remember where we were going, but
just the series on what we were, what series you were thinking. Yeah.
So yeah, I want to try to make do my best to defend my title in MOYAK, even though I think I'm going to end up missing 1 or 2 events, but I think it's our best 5 and we have 7. So I can miss a couple. It doesn't give you any cushion to be able to have a bad tournament.
Nope.
And then, same with the All American Series, your best 4. I think I can fish 4 of them, but what are the chances that you can fish 4 and have all 4 of them be good enough to win Angler of the Year? It's hard to do. So I don't know. We'll just have to kind of see how it plays out. I'm also trying to make the Old Town. Old Town has a deal where they take for their current pro staff. There's basically a point system for the national tournaments, and they take their best 15 out of their pro staff to the national team for the next year. And so for 23, I'm going to be trying to make the 24 national team for Old Town, and that's going to require, unfortunately, they don't count the All American Series yet, just probably due to the lower boat numbers. But so it's basically KBF, Bassmaster, or Hobie, and I'm not fishing Hobies out of my autopilot. And the KBF schedule is, for the most part, not very conducive for Missouri, and so it leaves me with the Bassmaster events, and that's why I'm going to kind of try to focus on that this year.
For sure. That makes sense, man. And that schedule conflict, that's a real deal, and it's I'm with you, and my new canoe is motor powered, and it's going to stay motor powered. And when Hobie decides that they want to open up the field to all of us out there, and not just make this about a Hobie Mirage Drive game, then let's do it. I told my good buddy who fishes in the Hobie side there, I said, hey, they open up motors. I know the 3 of them are talking. If they open up motors, I'm in. if they open up motors and get some diversity in their schedule, I'm in and I'll promote it. It's like, let's do something here as a sport. Let's go. It's time. This is how we grow. But
a little bit of a rant, but I just don't get it how you can have everybody zooming around in practice with their Torqeedos and then say the day of the tournament comes and we're all people powered. I mean, it just, I don't really get it, but
I'll tell you what my view on that is. It's a total money deal. Torqeedo is a massive sponsor to kayak fishing. So is Newport Vessel. Newport Vessel's making noise and making waves. I own an NK180, and I'll put that thing against the little Torqeedo any day of the week. That 24-volt system. Now they dropped that NK300 out there, and man, are they offering that for that level of 36-volt powered, transom thing at around $1,200. Are you kidding me? I mean, there is money. You got Motor Guide that's built a kayak specific. The industry is showing it. Many manufacturers know it. We're going more towards propulsion, so we all know this, but Hobie's built themselves and they're very smart. And I love the fact that those anglers can go get paid so well. I really do. I mean, they're more power to them. But when it just comes to the series, that's my big hang up with them is open this up. I want to see everybody get in there. And then you can start, then I will listen to the best of the best talk. Right now I just don't buy that. Now I'm sorry. There's too many other anglers that are being left out of the game here because they don't want to play that, that pedal only system, type deal. And, just because you pedal doesn't make you a better angler. It means you're in better shape. Jody Queen said it best, man. I'll tell you this. And he and I see eye to eye on this. He said, when I asked him about the pedal drive, he says, I hear about the good health thing. And he said, it just so happens that what I love to do is good for my health. He says, but I didn't get into it because I wanted to be that, my health of pedaling was my first concern. He wanted to fish, and that's what I've got a local club that I love to death. I love the people there, but they unfortunately don't allow motors in. And I told them that same thing is I love you guys. I love everything you stand for. I'll promote you all day long, but I'm not interested. I'm here to fish, man. I'm not here just to get strong legs. I like being able to kick my motor on and, tie knots on the way there and check out my maps, and look, as I'm tootling across the lake, and especially as a safety factor. I love the fact that when that wind picks up, I'm aiming for shore, I'm tucking in and I can do it quickly. It's, so yeah, that's, I'm with you there. It's not a rant. I think that's just real truth, and once they open it up, then yeah, maybe guys like you and I can, cause there's a lot of old town guys out there, man, running those autopilots. And you guys are hella hooks that I would put up against, anybody else who's not, running one of those out there. Be a lot of fun. So, well, listen, man, I can't thank you enough, Chad, for coming on here and introducing yourself to us. One major fact that I want to also make sure to, I would be remiss if we didn't here at the True Patriot Outfitters, is we wanted to absolutely from the bottom of our hearts thank you. You are a United States Navy veteran. That we didn't know that until I got a chance to meet you there, and for that, we thank you for your service and all that you have done for us. And that's you're the motivation, man, of why we're out here doing what we're doing is for guys like you out there.
Well, thanks to you for everything and your organizations do for veterans. I mean, the impact you have. I'm fortunate that my service was pretty uneventful, but a lot of guys, what you do for them, you can't put a price tag on that. I mean, you change their lives, and that's huge, man. So I mean, good for you, man.
Yeah, we they changed our life, and they make it possible for so many things. And one of the overlying statements that I always get asked about is like, I'm not sure I can, we can't pay for this. And I'm like, first off, you already paid for it. Okay. This is bought and paid for. It just hasn't been delivered to you yet. And at the very least, I'm just talking about a kayak fishing trip. This is nothing compared to what you guys have given for us out there in the sacrifice that you all made in the oath you took to keep us safe. So big goofballs like me can run around the country chasing fish. And I never said I was good at it. I just said I'd do it. So All right, brother. Well, listen, I'm hoping to have you back on here, and we're going to be watching you guys. Everybody out there in the listener land, be sure to go check out and follow his Facebook at Chad.Davison, and Instagram at Chad Davison, Chad A. Davison. Instagram. Go check him out there. Lots of cool content. That's where I found that cool little video you were talking about. And absolutely go get you some Gorilla Grip gloves, because I know I'm gonna. I'm looking forward to this here, and that's, as we're professional hand models half the time, right? I mean, that's what people see of us most of the time is our left hand.
Yeah, they're in every fish picture. They're super easy for me to promote. So.
It's a walk in the park. Yeah. I was thinking I needed to become a sock, pro staffer, because my socks are always in my photos. All right, brother. Well, listen, thank you so much. We appreciate your time here. And folks, make sure to hit that subscribe button for us. That is the best way you can support us here on the channel. As always, folks, tight lines and be safe.
Thank you. I appreciate it.